Hey, how you doing today, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is Alex, MTV Alex, and yes, I'm wearing the same thing as the previous video when I talked about the headset on my Axum. Today we're gonna be doing the next step that I talked about that on that video. But at this time, if you want to support the channel, there's a link down in the description. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and turn the notifications bell on so you don't miss what's coming up for this bike. And other than that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so like I was saying, on this bike we're gonna be installing the fork today along with the stem and the handlebar. I just want to do kind of like a quicker video than before. I don't want to combine too many things together, and hopefully I can do it a little more DIY. However, I'm not going to be installing a headset because this is already installed like I talked in the previous video. But if you want to see the installation on the headset, I have a video for you right here where I did on my I don't know if it's going to be on the TAF or the other Axum, but check it out, it's right there, and we can go from there. So this one, I actually had two different options. So like many of you know, I sold my other Axum and I got me the e-bike, the Mount Bromo N7. By the way, there's an affiliate link for you down in the description if you're interested in buying a Polygon bike or that same bike. I'll leave them down in the comments for you below. And if you end up purchasing, it doesn't cost you any extra, but it's actually, I'm gonna get a little bit back from that thing. Also, there's a bunch of affiliate links down in the descriptions for different stuff that I use from Amazon. Again, you go in there, you buy something, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps this channel up a little bit. Now, I had two options for this bike. Like many of you know that I sold the other Axum and I sold some of the parts, but I didn't sell anything. So that's why it left me with a bunch of parts that all I needed was just a frame to put them in there. So one of the things that I had was a fork. I had the Bucklos fork from the TAF that I removed when I sold the TAF, but that Bucklos fork is a quick release. So this was my dilemma. The wheelset that I have is the same wheelset from the other Axum, and that wheelset is Boost. It's 110 millimeter, 15 by 110. So this was my dilemma. Okay, do I buy a wheelset to put that fork in, the Bucklos fork, or do I buy a fork to put into the wheelset that I had? And I went back and forth because I actually wanted to build something budget kinda with what I had already in stock. But one of the things that I didn't wanna cheap out was the fork, because even though I do like the Bucklos a lot, it never gave me any problems, it's really smooth and everything, I wanted something a little bit different. So I was on the Facebook market back and forth with different people, and I almost got a RockShox Gold RL. I paid it and everything, it was like $100, but I made it through the Facebook market, so you know you gotta pay shipping, you gotta pay taxes and all that. So it ended up being like $179. But it was, I think it was a 35 millimeter extension and 130 millimeters of travel. So that was a really good thing because he had Boost. Now, whenever he sent me close-up pictures after I paid him and everything, because it wasn't on the description, it was at 27.5. I'm like, oh, you know what, dude, it's not gonna work. He was nice enough to let it cancel itself, so I didn't lose any money right there. So I was in the search for another fork. And this is when I found an SR Suntour Raidon 34. And this is a Boost fork. Let me show them to you. So right here, this is the Bucklos fork. Just regular Bucklos. Like I said, I love this thing. I removed the decals. It looks super sweet. Has the remote lockout and everything. Tapered head tube. Everything that you can ask for, but it's a quick release. Yes, I'm wearing my Crocs. And this is the Suntour Raidon, and something that I was actually looking for is actually black stanchions as well. So this is a tapered head tube. He did have a picture of the length. I think this is a little bit over 7 inches, which is gonna be perfect, hopefully. I haven't even tried it. And this is supposed to be 34 millimeters. I can measure them in a little bit. And this is boost. So it has a lockout, it has air and rebound adjustment and everything. And this is actually 140 millimeters. So a little bit better than right there. Now, that fork, I also got it on the Facebook market, $140 plus shipping and taxes. It was like $178. So great deal right there, I think. Now, let's go ahead and get it installed. So what I want to do right now is take out the bearings and re-grease them, because I don't know if they're lubricated over there. I always like to put in grease on everything, especially if it's metal to metal. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the top and the bottom bearing. It's coming out. So it did have a little bit of grease. All right, so I end up removing the bottom cup. And that is because, if you notice right here, this thing have a line whenever you install it. And that's gonna be centered to the head tube and over here. However, this thing was a little bit crooked to the side. So I ended up taking it apart. Now I was having trouble removing the bearing, so when I finally did, the top one came out easy, but the bottom one exploded kinda, so I took advantage and I wanted to go ahead and re-grease it. However, when I did, I lost a bearing, and it's so small that I can find it, so I grabbed the bearing from my Cetos right here that I had on the, I think it was the taff, and I'm gonna put this bearing right here, because the bearing should be the same, no issues right there, and then we can go from there. So let me set up the camera. I'm gonna line this up and press it in, hammer it in, because I don't have a press-in headset tool. All right, so I had a hard time putting this thing, taking it out, so I went ahead and measured finally got a vernier caliper, so I'm gonna measure the inside diameter right there, and that thing is a 55.5 millimeters. However, this thing right here is a 0.3 millimeters difference right there. Well, actually right there, 5 millimeters, 0.5 millimeter difference. Now, the bearing, it was kind of stuck in there as well. So I went ahead and measured the inner diameter. That's 52, I guess. And the original bearing, 51.9, 52. So right on. The Ceto bearing, let's see, also 52. So it should be no issues. Let's go ahead and hammer this thing on. Putting in a little bit of grease right there. I don't know how well it can focus right here, but this right here has a letter R, and I think that's to go to the rear. So this is the point where if you have a pressing tool, you gotta keep it aligned very well. I do not have that. So when I hammer this thing in, I gotta make sure that it's gonna be, and I've seen a guy doing it with the string or anything like that. I'm just gonna go by eye, because previously when I first got this, before I took it out, I noticed that it was a little bit crooked, and you can clearly see that. So I wanna prevent that fork to be crooked. So I went ahead and hammered it in for one time just to get it seated, and so that this thing will not move. So hopefully I can do it right here. If not, I'm gonna have to get it down. This is the little line that I was telling you about. This is the little line over here in the back. So if I can see that, you can clearly see that it's pretty damn straight. So let me keep on hammering this thing down, and it should be good to go really quick. Now I know I wasn't gonna do a tutorial on how to install a headset, but I guess this is the way I do it because I don't have the tool. I had it once, but I returned it. And this has worked for me every single time. as you can see on my previous videos. And that's how you press it. It hits it. Now for this, as usual, I just loop this up a little bit, and the bevel edge goes like this. I had a hard time putting this thing on because it's a little bit scratched. Judge if you want, but that thing could have gone in when I will tighten up the fork, but might as well get it out of the way because it was a little tighter than I'm used to. Nothing a little bit of lube wouldn't take care of anyway. Say hi.
Hi.
Diles hola.
Hola.
Diles subscribe.
Bye.
MTV Alex.
Alex.
Diles cómo te llamas.
Mia.
That side's done. Flip this thing. Just like on the bottom, I'm gonna put a little bit of grease right here as well.
Hello, I'm Rose Blazing. I'm a YouTuber. You can see me on my channel and subscribe. Hi. Bye bye.
Oh, there you go. This one went in easier than the, like a lot easier. Now for the bottom, you're gonna need the crown race right here. This is gonna go on the fork. I don't remember if this one came with it. I don't think so because this is a little baggie that he sent me in. I have my center right here and my dust cover right here. That goes in like that, and then the star nut over here. And by the way, this is a really nice one. Works components that will push the fork up. Actually, I don't think I need the crown raise because the fork has it over here already. So I'm just gonna pull it out, put a little bit more grease, clean this up, put new grease in there, and then set this back down on it. By the way, I'm gonna measure the stanchions in this thing. It's supposed to be 34 and 34.1. Not bad. Stanchion length for the visible part, almost 150 millimeters. So this is supposed to be 140 millimeters of travel. Not too bad. Now the weight, 4.41 pounds. Not too bad. I'm gonna compare with the Bucklos. Give me a second. Now this is the Bucklos with the remote lockout, 4.09. So like 40.3 pounds of a difference, but I got a much better fork. This is one of the ones that open up a little bit, so you don't have to actually hammer it in. I don't know if you can see that. It has a little bit of gap. So it just goes in like this, bevel side up. And I like to keep that little gap at the back. No reason at all. And it sits perfectly like that. Now from the bottom, you just push it in. You know what? I'm gonna put a little bit more grease on top of the crown race because that's gonna be touching the bearing. Now this fork, I think it's even lighter than the RockShox Judy that I had on the previous Axum. Bevel side up. Well, this dust cap is different. I don't know exactly how it goes, but it does have a groove on this side that kind of sits perfectly on the top cone retainer thingy. So I'm guessing it goes like that. Then I'm gonna put in some spacers for now because I gotta press it in. I'm gonna put in my trusty JG bike stem for now, and that way this thing won't fall and I can push the bearing in. That's the bearing, the bottom bearing actually pressing in. Like I said, this is kind of weird. I don't know. I never had any issues. I just want to make sure it's completely pressed in. And then I can back up a little bit. Trustworthy wake handlebar, 780. I'm gonna tighten everything to specs at the end. And there you have it. That's how you install a headset without specialty tools. Remember, you don't have to have all the tools to do the job to get it done right. Now, again, I'm gonna see how this actually turns out. This is a slacker headset. Wait until the build is complete to see how the bike is gonna look. I still don't know. I'm gonna stop at this one, and then the next one will be to actually put in the wheels, brakes, and tires. So if you don't want to miss any future content, make sure you subscribe, turn the notification bell on if you don't. That way you can keep up updated. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to support the channel, link down in the description. Other than that, that is gonna be it for this one. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing the tires next or what. So stay tuned for that one, and I'll see you on the trails. Goodbye.